Okay, today is going to be an exciting day. Going to be cutting off the rear cross member. This whole piece here that I have a replacement for. And so that's the excitement today. So right here, these two are nuts and bolts which were rusted. So I had to just cut them off. I cut the heads off. This one here has bolts and a plate back behind that is threaded. So luckily, I took the bolts out. They came right out real nice and easy. So I don't have to, I'll get some new bolts for it, but I don't have to make new plates for the back for the nuts, the bolts to go through. So bolt and nut plate back behind there. And plus the gas tanks back behind here, so that's why they have right here in these 3 spots you have a plate with a nut on the back. So then over here we have another bolt nut over here. I couldn't get them off, so I just cut them off. So the handles, I'm going to clean them up and reuse those. And one over here, the step, well, it's pretty much gone, so I'm not going to have a step in the back, but I am going to, if I find one, maybe I'll put it on, but right now I'm not really worried about it. But here is the hitch that I took off. This piece right here was all bolted right here. So this is the part that I plan on putting the hitch back on so I can use it. So I got to weld it on really good. So around here, another thing is, if anybody knows anything about these, I think this is the trailer hitch lighting circuit where turning signals and everything, because I seen this in the repair manual with the lighting kit or whatever. So I guess it used to bolt right there in that hole. Now it just kind of fell out. And the weird part is the next plug. So I get these fish back out, think through. Well, this spot here, this is kind of weird. It's like a regular house plug that was in this hole. I don't know why or how it would work with the other one over there. So I'm not really sure how this applies to that, but this is hooked up to the electrical in the back. Let's move over here. Move a light over. Right here is the electrical back behind where that switch is, right here. But it's connected all to the wiring just the same, so I don't know if this was some type of power outlet or something. For something, I'm not really sure. But here's a good look of the rear cross member that's going to be getting cut off the truck. Now, this is the back side of the cross member that I'm going to be replacing. You can see that it's basically non-existent, most of it. So the extension that I bought comes with legs on it. It has part legs on, has extensions on it. So I measured it. It's 9 inches or 10 inches from here to there. This mark is right here that I made. So this is as far as the legs are going to be. So what my plan is, I'm going to cut right along here, the support piece right here. Cut right along here. Check the thickness of the metal all around. Make sure it's thick enough. If not, then I'll have to replace or rebuild this part here so then I can weld real good with the new cross member. So let's go look at the other side. Alright, same thing on this side. It's rusted, but I can already see that this side has holes in the bottom of it. So I have a feeling this whole plate here is all thin. So I'm going to have to end up cutting and replacing this piece here. So we'll see how the sides are going around. But the new cross member legs don't have this support right here. These supports didn't come with it. So I'm going to have to cut these off or remake copies of these to weld onto the new cross member. You'll see once I cut it all off, I'll do a comparison. You take a look at both of them together. All right. Okay, so it's now cut off. It's being supported by a floor jack. But I got the cut over there, cut through, and then cut over here. I cut up along this side, along the bottom on that side, and I didn't even match up. So then I had to hacksaw the top plate because I don't have my tub taken off, the rear tub. So now, you can see, it all moves now. You can see all the stuff falling out, all the nest. It looks like a whole nother nest in there. Yay! So let's take her off and see what she looks like. See here, I don't know if you can, but here's the wires that connect. They connect for the tail lights. Come over. Disconnected that. Lower it down some more. There it is. Ugh. Alright, rear cross member is off. There you go. Alright, here's the new and the old put together, sitting side by side. But see here's the trailer hitch hole right there. Plates, your place for your hitch, and more plates and plates, and then there's your holes for your handles. See them there and there. And the thing that's different is you see here how this is just another plate. This one is a plate, angle, and then a plate. The reason why is that on the original ones you had to put spacers back behind these bolts to put your trailer hitch on. So now you don't need them. You can just put it flat, bolt it right to it. But there. That hole's the same. That's the same. Everything else, this hole's here, that hole's there. It's all very, very good replica or replacement one. It has this little hole here, but this one's missing it. There is that little hole underneath where the handle is, and there's none here. So, and one thing that's different is you see these little brackets here. This little bracket, it's for a flap that you could put for your, instead of having a rear door like this that opens on two hinges, you could have a flap that comes down and then a hatch that goes up. So that's another version. So they give you the brackets already on there. So if yours is that version or a station wagon like mine is with the door. So I have to say it's a pretty good duplicate of it. The gauge of steel is pretty close to the same as well. The only thing I do see different is, I mentioned it earlier, is see these brackets here? Bracket right there. And the replacement one doesn't have them on either side. So I'm gonna have to cut these ones off, or I might cut them off and make copies of them so I can weld new ones on. So the brackets will be right there. Then this extra piece here, that's just for shipping. That gets cut off. But I'm pretty pleased with the new Crossmember, so I'm gonna go fit it up and see how it fits. Okay, so I had to fit this on the back of the Rover probably about 6 times. This is gonna be my 7th time. Hopefully it'll be ready to be actually welded on and into place with all the bolts. So let me give you the review on how bad this thing is actually made in comparison to the original. Okay, first thing is, see these 2 extensions? They're actually, instead of them being like where it would line up straight, they actually need to be turned in. So what I did is that I cut along here and around this side, the two sides, and left the third side solid. I didn't do anything to. So then again on this side I did the same thing, cut here and cut here, left this side on. So then I could take the legs when I go to put it on, I could squeeze them in and have them line up with the frame, because I couldn't even get it to start onto the frame rails right here. I couldn't even do it at all. So these slits help me get them so they move in. Each side moves in. So I got that fixed. So the next thing was, let me move to this side. This isn't wide enough to fit over top of the frame rails. This width here. So I cut along the sides here and here so they'll flex out. So they'll go around, so it goes around the chassis. These parts here move out. So now I got the legs where I need them to be. So what I did is I cut up, whenever I did the cuts here, the two double cuts, I put it back on, and then I welded a plate on the, well, I welded on the outside. There was now a big gap right here and right here. So I put a plate behind it and I welded it, and I filled it in with weld all the way across on both of these seams here and here, both of them. So in order to get this piece to line up straight, also with these mounting holes here, they didn't line up. You put one bolt in, it wouldn't go in. You put one bolt here, it wouldn't even line up with the rest of them. So what I did is I took a step drill, one of these. You may have seen them on those car show things or whatever, people use them, but I use this to step it out to make these holes that were smaller than 3/8. They were smaller than 3/8 holes to 7/16. So now these holes match up, and these ones kind of match up. So I got to drill these with the center one as well to match up. So what I thought was going to be simple, as usual, is never easy. So I have to say it's built pretty good, but it's just built wrong sizes, and things were not perpendicular or not straight with each other. So it makes me think, were these plates here on the original ones welded on, like they bolted onto the chassis, onto the body itself, the tub, then put the body in with the plates on there and then welded them on? Because there's no way they could have got them that perfect before. So next step is going to be putting it up on. Before putting the crossmember back on, I want to show you what I did here. What I did is I just cut it off. Right here I cleaned this up and cleaned up all these surfaces here. After I test fit it on, I took a Sharpie and drew a line, so then I knew where to clean up the metal, so I have some shiny metal to weld to. So this side was pretty good. The steel, this 14 gauge was pretty good. So over here, on this side, this was nothing but Swiss cheesy here. So I cut this all out here. This plate was good. It's onto this member here. So that was all good. So I just trimmed around it. It made a piece to go on here. So I welded that plate on. And then this side, same thing. I cut it off and got it ready. So I just boxed it back in so it's ready to go as well for the crossmember. So, all right, let's fit her back up. All right, I have the crossmember on, and I put these bolts in. They line up all around because I drilled them holes. But these ones on the end I'm not worried about because that's just a bolt and nut. And they didn't line up perfect, but that's okay. I'm gonna drill right through and just do a bolt and nut on the back. Okay, let's get underneath and I'll show you. Okay, so it's in, it's welded. It doesn't look too pretty because I already core sealed everything. So the rust converter, it did it all inside and did everything inside. So what I did is I welded up this way, welded up the side here, the plate, the extension onto the frame. And then in order to get it to fit back down over, I had to make a slit here so I could slide this piece over top of the frame. So again, I welded here and I welded this cut that I did across here. So now it's sitting flat, but I tried to get up here on the top. I couldn't get good welds up on the top of the frame. So what I did is I welded up inside. I tried to do my best there, but it isn't really all that great. But the main thing is it's going to be real. It's really welded really good right here. So my next plan is now this is all open and I want to cap this off. I want to have something underneath here. So what I did is I took 14 gauge steel and made bent it, which is very difficult to do, but without a real bench brake. But what I did is just clamped it with a workbench vise, and I just bent it and bent a little bit at a time until I got it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cap this off, put it on here. So just a U channel, which is going to make it a lot stronger. So let me flip over to the other side. I already have the other side done. All right, this is the other side. Same thing, I made that U channel and I already welded it in. So I had to cut a seam across here and here, same on the other side, so I could weld it across here and then I could bend it down to hit the frame right here. So I could get a weld here going around over, whole way across, weld down the back, weld. This is now welded to the new cross member. Put a weld across here, and then the slits that I did here and here are welded closed too. So I welded those up, and then this is welded around here and also along the side. So with not even having a really great weld up on top, this is fully welded here down to here, and then fully welded, welded. It's completely boxed in, so I don't really have a real concern about the top being perfect, since it's going to be pretty well welded already. And I push up on the cross member and nothing moves at all. Like, you push up on here, it's not, the whole car actually moves. So next step is I'm going to do the other side now. Put the cap on. And then this should be about done right here until I have to do the support right here. Alright, so now I have both the caps done on the other cross member. This is the old one, and I cut off the body supports on both sides. So now I'm going to clean these up. I'm going to cut the bracket off. They're only welded in a couple spots. Right here they're welded, right here, and on this side, and right here. So they didn't have many crazy welds on it, but I did mark on their driver's side, passenger side. So I'll put them on the same side again as if they're on. So I'm going to cut them off and reuse them, since heck, why should I make new ones if this piece is just going to go to the scrapper sooner or later? So I might as well reuse the pieces that I can. Alright, here we are underneath the truck in the back. So I cut the bracket off. Well, I cut the metal off. So then all I have left is the bracket. So I put core seal on the top of it, because here you can see this is where the bracket was, and this is the body brace for the rear tub where it holds it. So I already cleaned it up and I'm about ready to weld it in. So I'm going to hold it in like this, and I'll probably push it up with a 2x4, but I'm just going to weld across here and then weld here and here, for this guy. So what I had to do, since I have this cover plate down here, I actually had to trim up the bracket shorter than original. If you look over here, see how the other body bracket goes the whole way down? This is going to be a little bit shorter. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but okay, I'm going to weld it up, and I got the passenger side's going to be done. Well, this is the passenger side, but the driver's side too, so I'm going to do that next. Alright, so I have them welded in. I did one weld here, one here, and one here, very similar to the original one. So what I did, in order to get it nice and tight on there, I took a piece of wood, I pushed up on it, and I got it centered the way I wanted it. Then I just put a tack weld here, tack weld there, and then I put a tack weld over here, and then did weld, weld, and weld. So that's nice and snug and tight up against there. Then over to the other side. Exact same thing. Push it up there against the body mount, the tub mount there, and welded, welded, and welded. So this is the final piece of the rear cross member to have it put on. So the cross member is done. The next step is to clean all this up and then do a layer of Rust-Oleum, and we'll core seal all over on everything, and then Rust-Oleum flat black is what I'm doing for the chassis. So I'm pretty pleased with the way it turned out. There it is. With all the work to get this done, it took a very long time, a lot of hours, but it's well worth it. So to finish it off, I'm going to be putting the handles on from the old one. I'm going to take the original handles off and bolt them onto here. So the handles will be on next. And then I have the original toe plate too. I'm going to be mounting that back onto here too. So I might try to do a receiver hitch, like a 2-inch receiver hitch welded onto the drop plate. So that might be another video I'll do. So anyways, it's done. I'm happy. It's in there and it's solid. So there's no complaints.